Fucking the UVTV, motherfucker. I'm in to kick spiritual ass and do this for my people. On God. Nia nigga for feather me in. Today I'm gonna be talking about the actual purpose for humankind and then why you keep coming back into humanistic traits made very simply. Right? So just to really start that up, start the whole thing off, right? Humankind. So humankind. Now Q is like a color spectrum. It's like a shade and stuff like that. So if it's like a shade, it's like you darkening something up, right? So from us being spirits in a body, right? From the whole mechanism in itself. Okay, we're all spirits in a body. Your spirit is no shape and form. And your spirit is like your space and what you're observing and your creativity and you know what I'm saying? Like you taking your power back. Oh, the power within and things of that nature, right? Like that SpongeBob episode, the power within. The power within. You know what I'm saying? Like so some shit like that. But regardless, you're doing everything from the inside out, not from the outside in. So you're doing these things intrinsically. I think that's the word. Yeah. Intrinsically and instinctually and stuff like that, based upon the essence and the substance, the subconscious standing and the essence, or how I like to call it, the eternal sense. So it's like common sense. So the common mentality, and you can't get the mentality without you understanding the space that you in first. So it's like you observing. So the same way how you be meditating and stuff like that, you'll be observing your thoughts, and it can come in one ear out the other and stuff like that. You're actively choosing if you want to actually act upon those thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions that you're experiencing, or you can just let it go away like the wind and stuff like that. You just observing it and come in one ear out the other, like I was just saying. So just in general, right? From it being the spirit, mind, body, the spirit, mind, body mechanism and concept, right? We like to emanate. We like to birth these things. So look at it like a spring, summer, fall, winter, and stuff like that. Your spirit is like the spring. It like to germinate. It like to emanate. It like to bloom. It likes to flower. It likes to plant seeds and stuff like that because it wants to actually experience different shapes and forms. Once it starts to actually become a shape and form, it's going to be given life. So that's like summertime when things are high in temperament and things are more hot. And during that sun cycle and stuff like that of things becoming life. So like Cancer through Virgo and stuff like that. That's really a whole different video. But to make it like mad simple, make it mad simple. You're giving sentience in the mind first. You're having sex in the mind first. So look at like sex, like the reproductive organs between men and women, masculine and feminine and stuff like that. Men will be thoughts and ideas. Feminine would be like, oh, well, female or feminine would be like feelings and emotions. So men like to act on things, and then women like to react to things and things of that nature. So based upon you being in that man-like mentality and stuff like that, okay, you like to correct, you like to build, you like to direct energies, right? That's why you have a dick and you like to get erect and stuff like that. You like to direct energies. So you like to externalize, you like to perceive things. And then woman is the condensing, it being put into a container. So men are like walking attention, and then women are like walking attraction. You feel me? Because that like we always see these things playing out in life all the time. And I'm just using these different allegories and metaphors and terminologies and examples to make it make sense. Like, oh, the whole process is like a mechanism, and we'll always be doing these things. This is what the Bible be talking about, right? The men in the Bible represent thoughts and ideas, and then the woman in the Bible represents feelings and emotions, and that's what the Adam Eve story start representing. Your Adams and your Eves. So your thoughts and ideas, Adam, men, and then your feelings and emotions, Eve. So Adam will be like the beginning, and then Eve will be like the evening time and stuff like that. So that's when it start to get into fall and winter, or Libra through Sagittarius and stuff like that. So when things start to fall down, so during autumn and fall time, when the leaves start to die and deteriorate and stuff like that, right? It's like from them from the leaves starting to change colors and it's starting to die out and deteriorate. That's when things all falls down. That's when things start to get more chilly, start to get more cold. And during that last leg during the summertime and stuff like that, that's like harvest season. So you need to harvest all these different mentalities that you did during the springtime of you trying to germinate different seeds and plant different seeds of what you want to do based upon the Aries season, you being your individual self. Taurus season, you trying to put into a container and stabilize and make these things more secure. Gemini season, you being mutable air, you being mutable, adaptable, and changeable when it comes to your own uphill ways, when it comes to thinking and communicating. During Cancer season, hold on. Cancer season, initiating creating new ways to deal with their emotions and feelings and making different comfort zones and experiences and where you're at home at and family and things you are more familiar with and stuff like that, right? And the motherly caring type of energy. So that's like you expressing whatever mood that you in during that time. And then Leo season being fixed fire, so you being fixator of your own way of seeing and feeling when it comes to your visions and intuitions and expressions and stuff like that. And it being ruled by the sun, so like your actions and your individuality or your solar plexus. And then during Virgo season, uh mutable earth, so being mutable, adaptable, changeable with your own and other people ways when it comes to thinking and practicalizing. So you paying attention to how other people, when it comes to them being practical, so putting things into practice and it actually working for them when it comes to being a practitioner. And it's going to be that nerve-wracking, nervous, worrying type of energy, but you're starting to worry about the right things or the wrong things. You can pick and choose which one you want to do for the most part. If it's more in the negative, low class pole and stuff like that, you start acting all nerve wracking. You start stressing yourself the fuck out because like you be trying to make things all perfect and stuff like that. The more positive end is you realizing, oh, you're always gonna do things perfectly imperfect, but that's just your perfect way of how to do it. It's always gonna be you making a mistake and not being perfect. So you can analyze other people's ways when it comes to what worked for them and also how it can work for you. And you like a walking planner, you like a walking health guide book or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying, a walking schedule planner, because you like to compartmentalize the different thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. And how can I use the external realm so I can receive something from it, and how can I ground this energy so I can make myself feel stable and productive and stuff like that. And you start paying attention and analyzing and going to the details of other people's ways how to do it and your own way how to do it. And then that's that whole transition when it comes to spring and summer, or more above the horizon. And then below the horizon would be like the evening time. So that's when it started to go back into, you know what I'm saying, like the eves and stuff like that. So the feminine energy. So if it's more below the horizon, it's going to represent autumn and fall time. So when things all falls down, or you have that downfall or that letdown and stuff like that, if you want to use those different terminologies, right? Or like the fallen angels and stuff like that. So uh like the whole thing itself, when it comes to the Bible, all of it is allegorical and it's talking about the same energies. And we be seeing this play out in the atmosphere in real time when it comes to the sun pockets and the moon pockets of different transition in the different transitions. And if you don't be in sync, you're gonna be completely out of sync, and then you be wondering how a lot of things in your life don't end up going your way and stuff like that. And that be the main reason why, because of that. And then you have to make up different excuses and make up a whole bunch of different layers to hide different insecurities and stuff like that. Or you have to play catch up, or you end up being all over the place and stuff like that. And then your whole life be overwhelming and chaotic and stuff like that. And you always feel like you can't always get your little piece too. You feel like you can't express yourself. You feel like you can't emanate your light. You feel like you can't even externalize what you have to offer to the world. And you can't take your power back because everyone is being energy vampires and they're taking away all your energy and stuff like that. And then until I start explaining and breaking this shit down, you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm here for Gen Z. On God. I'm gonna be the feather man. I'm gonna be the guiding person for Gen Z when it comes to spirituality and all that type shit. I like that. That's why UV is here. I'm gonna use vessel in there. I'm gonna use my vessel based upon my awareness and my knowledge, and I'm gonna get some type of wisdom out of it of things you can learn. And that's not me self-serving. That's me being of service, and I'm helping y'all and stuff like that. And it's gonna go all the way back to the video about humankind and being one of a kind, and me being compassionate and making some compact passion and stuff like that. But we gonna get there though. We gonna get there. So, like I was saying before, yeah, evening time. So Libra to Sagittarius, so that's all in fall time. Autumn to fall time. Fallen angels, aka fallen angles, right? And when things go through more like a death and stuff like that. So like I was saying before, springtime is like birth or what your spirit is doing. Summertime is like life and you giving life to things, aka that's what your mind doing. So that's like your first body. And then your second body is like the physical. And that's when things all falls down, and that's when you start to experience the deification of something or something descendant. So that's just your second body. So the physical or the material world and stuff like that. Well, the flesh, my fault. The flesh and the different organs, and you being the organism controlling these different organs and stuff like that. And then it's gonna relate to wintertime, right? So look at that, like Capricorn through Pisces, right? And that's during the more nighttime, even though evening time is also the transition into the nighttime. But because it's during the evening time, it's even day, even night. That's why Libras always be trying to be balanced, and they be trying to balance between being people pleasing or doing something for themselves, aka initiating, creating new ways that they can communicate. And they try to be the relatable person. They try to be the one of leading the head charge of thinking, communication, and you know what I'm saying, having some type of logic and relatability, or things that could be relative above the horizon and below the horizon. So them having a higher angle and using their intelligence and their logic, or them making it more below the horizon, and it can appeal to people who are more into the flesh and the external world and stuff like that. So during the wintertime, that would kind of just that would basically just represent like the external world. So like I was saying before, spring representing birth or the spirit, summer representing life and the metaphysics, the mentality, right? The thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and you bringing life to that, you making sentience out of that, you having sex between your men and women, aka the masculine and feminine, like I was explaining before. So the fatherly energy and the motherly energy would represent like you turning it into emotion and feeling, or a container, and you nurturing, caring for those things. And then the masculine energy or the fatherly energy is like you having the guiding direction based upon the overall awareness and what you're paying attention to. So men will be like walking mentalities when it comes to you getting attention to something of what you're paying attention to in your awareness. And then the feminine energy will basically represent what you're receiving from what you were just paying attention to, so you can make it attractive, so you can draw people towards the attention of what you're paying attention to based upon their awareness and stuff like that. So it's a whole mechanism of it coming after the fact. So then it starts to transition into fall and autumn time, and that represents like a death. So from it going through a death, or like the physical and stuff like that, is going to be something that's temporary, that's actually going to end up deteriorating. So like what we're doing right now, we're going to end up dying in the physical, and we also going to be dying when it comes to our mentalities and stuff like that. At one point we all going to die one day, but we always going to come back and be alive, because you know what I'm saying, we just spirits in a body. We staying alive, like what the BG said and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And then wintertime will basically represent like the external world, aka the tools and technology that we make from the flesh, the things we make from the body. So we have that inspiration and those different tools and technology that we can make out of the earth, or make out of the external world, so we can have these different representations even after we dead and stuff like that. So we have some type of legacy or legs to stand on of, oh yeah, there was proof that we was here type shit based upon what we did in our life and stuff like that. So for me explaining that whole process, right, is going to represent the hue. So the hue is like the twilight zone. The twilight zone represents like it represents like autumn and winter, or look at that as death in the external world, and look at that as like because like kind of like from me talking about the twilight zone, right, that represents the you being in between the real world and like fantasy and stuff like that, kind of like that TV show or like Twin Peaks or some shit like that, right? When really it's talking about, because y'all be looking at fantasy and then you see like shit like werewolves, or like some like superficial like fanatical, like, you know what I'm saying, like werewolves and vampires and like angels and like, you know what I'm saying? Like some like super fanatical, like imaginative type of shit of like, you know what I'm saying? Like unicorns and stuff like that, like some real like mythical type of shit. And then y'all be all like, oh, okay, that has nothing to do with the real world. That's like someone's fantasy or an imagination and stuff like that. It's like things of the mind, but it's not actually in the flesh of something we can actually touch and see with the naked eye and things of that nature, right? So it's in between reality and fantasy and stuff like that, when actually in reverse, that's like an actual type thing. Like in the spirit realm, that's an actual thing. And from us being the physical, we look at it like the other way around. So the minute our motherfuckers start talking like how I'm talking right now, they be all like, man, what you mean, bro? You talking about shit like unicorns, all that type shit, man. That shit ain't real because of this, that, and the third. You sound pseudo as fuck. And stuff like that. You talking all fucking spiritual and shit like that. When like the whole thing in general is in reverse, because we in the physical and we can't externally see it. You know what I'm saying? We can't externally see it from the naked eye and stuff like that. We begin confused, like it's not a mechanism or a know-how or a happening when I just fucking explained the whole atmosphere and stuff like that in the different heavenly bodies, aka the sun and the moon, going through different transitions and stuff like that, and us being on earth and us being alive and us being sentient and stuff like that, and us being spirits in the body, observing different thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and we actually manifest and materialize these things, manifesting men and women and stuff like that. You're festering it. You're having sex and sentience within the mind to make it what it is in the first place. So the minute you start talking about spirituality or something that's beyond you in like mythical creatures and stuff like that, right, it's something that's actually in existence, because if it wasn't something in existence, we wouldn't even be aware of it in the first place. You get what I'm saying? So it's not no thing where it's like, oh, there's something like that in existence right now and stuff like that. No, it's something that has to be condensed based upon what we're paying attention to. So we have to manifest that. We have to materialize that. We actually have to do a teamwork make the dream work concept. It's not no thing where, oh yeah, one person thought about this one fanatical ass thing in the mind and stuff like that, and then he kept on praying on it, and that shit ended up coming true because of this, that, and the third. No, it's some shit of a motherfucker has to have belief and faith into what the fuck you even paying attention to in the first place, and all collectively be in agreement of, oh yeah, we're gonna make this shit happen, and then eventually this shit is gonna be a representation. It's gonna appear. It's probably not gonna appear the way how we look at dragons and unicorns and all that type shit, like some Dragon Ball Z shit, right? But it's gonna be something like it though. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be something like that character. It's gonna be something like that shape and form. The same way how we have shape and forms when it comes to our thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions in our imaginations. So the minute you see like an artist drawing like a comic book or like a manga or some shit like that, and they drawing a whole bunch of fanatical supernatural ass creatures and stuff like that, from the fact we are aware of it, okay, there's something like that in existence, and we play out that character, we play out that representation of what that is. So it's the same way how y'all be talking about vampires and stuff like that. Okay, that's why we use that allegory. Oh, this motherfucker is trying to take someone else's energy. They're trying to take somebody's power. They free will of doing something, and they trying to use it for themselves. So they're like an energy vampire. You know what I'm saying? King Vamp. You know what I'm saying? Shut up, Playboy Cardi. But it's like that type of mentality. It's like looking at it like that, or like, oh yeah, this motherfucker is greedy as hell. This motherfucker is like a pig and stuff like that. This person is like super gluttonous. They keep on eating, they keep on feeding and stuff like that. Not even if they actually fat in the physical. Oh, they keep on feeding, and you know what I'm saying? They keep on uh uh what's that shit called? Like food for thought. So like your spirit is always emanating and is eating different mentalities and stuff like that. So it's like someone who overwhelmed themselves, or they start overthinking because they keep on eating a whole bunch of different mentalities and stuff like that. That's why it's not good to be super consciously aware of everything going on. That's why that shit like ignorance is bliss and stuff like that. That's why that's a good thing. Sometimes it's good to not always be consciously aware of everything going on, because it's going to actually block you and cloud your judgment of your pure natural state of being, because you have that on the back of your mind and stuff like that. No, it's good. No, don't tell me all the details before I go perform and shit like that. Let me not know that, and then tell me after I'm done performing, because I'm probably going to fuck up and start being nervous and start stressing myself out, and I'm trying to perform and shit like that, and that's on the back of my mind because like my grandma died or some shit like that, and I end up having a fucking nervous breakdown on stage for no goddamn reason, and niggas wondering what the fuck is wrong and stuff like that. We paid good money for this performance, and this motherfucker just crying on stage and shit like that. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But right, we are like we're like in the twilight zone. So not no thing to where it's all like, oh, we in the twilight zone, and real life got nothing to do with vampires and unicorns and superficial super mythical and fanatical type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like some fantasy or whatever. No, it's something that's made from the imagination, because if there was no imagination or no thing like that in existence, or some entity that's living on its own of something like that, then we wouldn't be aware about it and we wouldn't be thinking about it and stuff like that. No, there is something like that in existence. It just hasn't been condensed or paid attention to enough to make us actually want to manifest and materialize that thing. And we see that every day of motherfuckers' dreams becoming true. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they turn nothing into something. Okay, that's what your spirit is doing. You're no shape and form, a spirit and a body having a human experience or being in a human vessel, and you're turning your desires or your dreams and your visions and stuff like that, and you're turning that nothing into something. You end up working for it. You actually trying to put it into practice in some way, shape, and form through birth, life, death, and stuff like that. You actually want to materialize it and temporarily experience it. So putting it through a death and stuff like that, and then it's going to end up evaporating at some point, and then you have to find different ways to utilize different tools and technology to suffice what you done did, and then you learn how to come back again. You coming back again is going back to the spirit realm, and you don't get lost into any of these shapes and forms that you're in right now from you being in the flesh. So you didn't get lost into the external world, aka that's like a winter time. You didn't get lost into the body, aka that's like a fall and autumn time and stuff like that, even after you die. And then you didn't get lost into the mentality you was in. So that's like the lifetime that you experienced being in this vessel at this point in time. So you was able to let those things go. So you was able to let your mind go. So your light body, and you was able to let go of the physical body. You was able to let go of the flesh, this human shape and form that you in right now, like me being in this body right now. You know what I'm saying? I was able to let these things go, and I'm like, I was able to give faith into something beyond just myself. So I was able to come back again, and I was able to learn from my experiences and have a different experience that's grander than the one I just had right now, because I learned through my human experience. I'm gonna get there though. I ain't even talk about that yet, but like, You know what I'm saying? Like all this shit is a mechanism. All this shit is like a cycle. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not relatable and in sync, a lot of this shit be going over your head, and you be super lost into superficial shit, like actual external world things that's based upon creations. When you are just the observer, you are the creator of these things, and you choose what desires and what things you want to descend based upon what you're ascended into, aka what your spirit is doing, and then your individual spirit is just your space, and that's just what your soul is doing. So your subjective point of view. So from us being humans and stuff like that, right? We're like shadow men. So from us being shadow men, right? That's like the below the horizon concept, aka autumn and wintertime, right? So from us being below the horizon, we are more lost into the twilight zone, aka the evening time. And then everything is like a transition. Above the horizon would be like the broadest positive way of how to look at something. You know what I'm saying? Like the overall awareness. And then um uh the goddamn you know what I'm saying, like the birth and the life, the starting point, the spring and the summer, right? And we giving life to these things, so above the horizon, so we can actually see it. So the same way how during the morning time, aka look at that like Aries time, so like 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then 8 a.m. transition to 10 a.m. aka Taurus time, and then 10 a.m. transitioning into 12 p.m., right? So that'll be Gemini time, and then 12 p.m. transitioning into 2 p.m. That'll be like Cancer time, right? So during that whole transition, when it comes to the sun, aka daybreak, right? And in like I was about to say dusk till dawn. I'm gonna say dawn till dusk, right? So during the morning time when the sun starts to peak up and stuff like that, right? That's like a transition, and that's when motherfuckers start to get up in the morning and they start going to work and stuff like that. That's why they have certain things set up at certain times. Oh, like a 9 to 5. Okay, that's basically goddamn Taurus time, and then all the way down to 5 p.m., and it's gonna go all the way into Virgo time and stuff like that, and then it'll start to go into that rush hour time, and then people get out of school and things of that nature, right? And motherfuckers being busy of being mutable Earth, aka being mutable, adaptable, changeable to the owner of people ways when it comes to thinking and practicalizing and of what they working on and what they paying attention to when it comes to their schedule and their plans and stuff like that. That's why it's a 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why school time get out during that time and shit like that. Like middle and high schools and shit like that. Like, yeah, they do that. They like, you know what I'm saying? The government know what the fuck they be doing. Like they be doing that shit on purpose. So the whole thing in itself is like different transitions and stuff like that, all the way down to the days of the week having different energies and stuff like that. But that's a different video. That's why Sunday, that's representing the sun, and then Monday is gonna represent the moon and all that type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole different video. But from us being more below the horizon, we're shadow men. So us being shadow men, we're in the shade, we're in the color spectrum. So humanity like to act out different characteristics of different color spectrums, and that's based upon the light. Now, paying attention to too much light can end up blinding you, and if you too much lost into the dark, you ain't never gonna find no type of light to emanate. So you ain't gonna have no showcase or no type of entertainment or no type of expressive type of quality, because we can't see it, motherfucker, because you always keeping that shit locked behind closed doors. Like this is R. Kelly, I'm trapped in that closet. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always gonna be those type of energies and stuff like that. You keeping it behind closed doors. You keeping it below the horizon. We can't see your talent. We can't see your capabilities. We can't see your shit because you ain't making it surface level. You ain't making it seen. You always keeping it in the dark. You always keeping it behind closed doors and stuff like that. So darkness is just an accumulation of light, and then light is just light. You know what I'm saying? And then light is like the lighter shape and form, like the mentalities and stuff like that. So you have to let your thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and the things you having sex with. You know what I'm saying? So your thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, your men and women, you manifest and materializing, and you actually have to show your passion. You have to actually show your motivation. What are the things that move you? You have to show your individuality, your solar plexus. You have to show who the fuck you are, nigga. Who the fuck you are, nigga. I sound like that one nigga. I sound like that one nigga from the Boondocks. I forgot the nigga name, bro. Who you are, nigga. Bro, who is that, bro? Steak meter? I think so, bro. Yeah, nigga, some shit like that. Some shit like that. But for us being human, we basically represent being shadow men. So we're like more below the horizon type of energies and stuff like that. Because, I mean, clearly, because we in the flesh and stuff like that. So from us being more in the flesh, right, we're something that come after the fact. So like the things that happen in nature, like the trees and the things that come from the earth and the atmosphere and the sun and the moon and the clouds, condensing and the different weather and all that type stuff, that came before we did. You know what I'm saying? And then humans come after the fact, and then we're just the evolved version of what the animals and stuff like that is doing. So because we have a more broader intelligent level and stuff like that, that's why humans can teach an animal, but an animal can't teach a human. And y'all ain't gonna switch it to anything else and stuff like that. I know Michael Jackson be fucking with monkeys and stuff like that and be hanging in trees and shit like that to make y'all think something else. But no, it's the other way around. No, we can teach an animal to get out of its barbaric nature so it can be more civilized and domesticated, not the other way around. You know what I'm saying? We teach them how to be more civilized, and then they can look at us as a representation of something that's like a heavenly being or something that's broader than them, that's gonna show them a mechanism to get out their lower demonic natures or getting lost into the shadow realm and the twilight zone, into an illusion, and actually learn how to create a broader way when it comes to the things they're paying attention to and what they're attracting, and they're able to go into a heavenly state of being. And from them going into a heavenly state of being, they was able to make their own atmosphere. So the atmosphere is just the sphere at most, the world at most. And then we in the atmosphere right now based upon the sun and the moon and the different geographical locations that we in, and how the sun light rays start to represent geographical location on different continents and different cultures and stuff like that. So we're cultivating these things, like we're making it what it is, and we're trying to do it at the broadest, highest level and stuff like that. So we're doing things to please the spirit, and it's gonna please our mentality. So that's like you expanding your mind, and it's gonna make you have that motivation to act out things in the flesh, and then you can keep on building these things in the external world to make the world a better place, so we can bring heaven on earth type shit. You know what I'm saying? And then heaven just represents the abode of God. The abode of God just represents all possibilities. So we all trying to have our own internal heaven, our own subjective point of view of how that looks to us, and then we make the objective point of view. We make the world. So everything I just explained right there, that's the actual purpose of humankind in general, right? We're like humans, and we're like shadow men. So we're representing different shadows, different shades, different color spectrums and stuff like that. It's just we get lost into a certain character, a certain shade, but we have to understand the divine masculine and divine feminine. Divine masculine would be like an ego or like an expression, because we're always going to have an ego and we always going to have our own subjective point of view, right? You just can't get lost into that star body. You just can't get lost into your own illusion. You just can't get lost into a God complex. You just can't get lost into your own light. You can't be too self-serving. You have to serve something beyond just yourself and stuff like that. Be more like a Virgo. Be like what represents the maiden and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You have to be of service of something beyond just yourself, not just always try to please yourself and stuff like that. Because the more you get more greedy, you start acting out animalistic characteristic, like lower animalistic characteristics, like you being your root chakra and stuff like that. Oh, like you know what I'm saying? It's like the shit I was saying earlier. Oh, you acting like a pig. You acting real gluttonous. You acting real greedy and stuff like that. And there's many different animalistic characteristics that we basically acting out and stuff like that. And you can see that when it comes to Native American astrology and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Taurus representing the beaver, Pisces representing the wolf and stuff like that. And there's always gonna be a wolf pack and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Woodpecker and shit like that. Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like bears. So how much can you bear? How much fruit can you bear and stuff like that? During the wintertime, you going through hibernation. So you being the resting bear and the resting bull like Taurus and shit like that, and ball and all that type shit and all that type shit and Boaz. See the Bible be the Bible be like representing these different characteristics. They just say it in a real Jewish witchcraft, Jewish mysticism type of way and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of that they be learning from different symbolism based upon Native Americans, but I'm not going to get into that today. But from us being humans and us being shadow men, right, we're just here to be one of a kind. So do not get lost into compassion, which is just compact passion, and being sympathetic and generous, being like generous and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with being sincere and being generous and stuff like that. But we're here to be one of a kind, not kind like nice and friendly and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to cuss a motherfucker out and be like, oh yeah, you ain't shit. That ego that you in, yeah, they ain't shit. Oh, you getting lost into your light and stuff like that. You got some fucking God complex and stuff like that. Not everything on the earth is made but from you being all possibilities. If you all possibilities, okay, go away from everybody right now and go birth the world like Genesis or some shit like that. Yeah, you couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Because you need others to help you do what the fuck you doing and stuff like that. You ain't Homelander from The Boys or some shit like that. You ain't the second coming of God and you trying to be the first coming and you the new Jesus. You about to walk on water and stuff like that. No, you ain't all that. You really ain't shit for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like literally though, you ain't shit. Like, your spirit experiencing this vessel right now from you having a human vessel and stuff like that. It's just the human vessel that we in right now. This is the highest intelligence that we have at the moment. But regardless, right? Yeah, it's supposed to represent. Yeah, you ain't that. You ain't shit. Your spirit is no shape and form. All the things you have going on right now, you ain't supposed to get lost into the illusion. You can enjoy the experience that you having, and you came back on Earth just in general to actually actualize and ground and stabilize and experience it in the flesh. That's all that is. You came back to experience things in the flesh. It's a mechanism, just in general, using the spirit realm. You turn into a thought, idea, feeling, emotion of the mentality that you want to be in, and then you end up making the physical body that you in and your organs. So humans, right, are just here to be one of a kind, and we're just shadow men. We're just showing our different characteristics based upon our own subjective character and stuff like that. So you need to get your character game up. You need to get your charisma game up. You need to get your expressive game up. You need to get your productivity and creative game up, and try to express yourself at the best of your ability. And then it's gonna widen up your attention span, aka your awareness, and then you're gonna attract people based upon your imagination, your imagery, and how you like to represent those things, just in general. So you turn your ideas and make them thought forms, and make a feeling, and that feeling is going to turn into an emotion. An emotion is just a specific feeling. So it's things that are motivating you. It's things that are more eternal, that are moving you, just in general. And you feel moved and motivated to actually keep acting out certain expressions and stuff like that, and keep on being creative and productive, because as a spirit, you like to emanate. You like to create a shape and form so you can experience it in the flesh and materialize these things. And that's all we here to do, of us coming back as humans. So it's not no thing to where it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna die and then I'm gonna never come back and I'm gonna be in the heavens because of this, that, and the third. No, you're gonna keep on coming into different lesser shape and forms and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna keep on putting it in a container and condensing. You ain't just gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're always gonna fall from grace. But when you fall from grace, you may gracefully fall into a broader shape and form. So something that's beyond just human and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So right now we trying to create our own worlds. So we're trying to create our own atmospheres, our own substance, our own essence, and subconscious standing. I already explained essences and the substance of something. So you know what I'm saying? We trying to make that more expensive. We're trying to make that more progressive and stuff like that. The best way we can, just in general. So throughout that journey, we're gonna realize our natural natures and things that we want to be like. And then once you learn what you like and what you want to be like, you start to understand how to be yourself, just in general. And that's going to be more natural and organic. Not no virtue signal. Oh, yeah, I want to be like this person. I'm trying to get lost. You know what I'm saying? You getting lost into an illusion again. You getting lost into someone else's light. You know what I'm saying? You always going to be overshadowed because you idol worshiping. You always giving your power away and making the space that you in, right, your spaceship, and you end up going to war for that idol instead of you doing it for yourself. No, it's not to say you can't have inspirations and stuff like that, right? But I'm basically saying you can't get lost into that idol worship, and y'all be idol worshiping a whole bunch of different shit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all be idol worshiping a whole bunch of people's creations and stuff like that, but you never have your own creativity to show. It's not to say you can't have appreciation for other people's productivity and other people's intellectual property and creativity and other people's spaces and what they did for themselves and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Shit be motivating, shit be inspiring and stuff like that. But you need to also have that for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You always need to keep yourself busy. You always need to have your own creativity. You always need to have your own character, your own disposition, your own temperament. You know what I'm saying? Your own atmosphere, your own essence, your own substance, and try to make that more expensive and stuff like that. And then you can be the example, not you trying to walk the example of the blueprint and footprints of what someone else did all the time and stuff like that. It's good to make your parents proud and stuff like that, but one day you probably gonna be a fucking parent to somebody. And then even if you don't have kids in this lifetime, okay, someone's gonna look up to you, and that's your kid. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like the godfather, godmother concept and stuff like that. Like they ain't your actual kid, but you treat them like they're your kid, or like your little nigga, or like your youngin' and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Your little partner and shit like that, because they look up to you. It's stuff like that. And then motherfuckers be feeling weird, like, oh, this motherfucker actually looking at me. Oh, this motherfucker look at me. Like it's like a example and shit like that. Even if you don't got actual kid and that's like your niece or like your nephew and stuff like that, and you like the uncle or the auntie and stuff like that, in a sense, they gonna look up to you though. You know what I'm saying? They gonna look up to you because you the adult and stuff like that. And then they probably like the way you express yourself compared to their own parents sometimes and shit like that. Like, it go deep. It go deep, bro. So you always gotta be the walking example. You always gotta be the spiritual adult and grown up. But y'all motherfuckers be kid spirits and degenerates and stuff like that. Y'all be getting lost out based upon Walt Disney and Lionsgate and goddamn Disney XD and all type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Coco Melon, you know what I'm saying? Warner Bros. And all these different representations and programs of how to be yourself when you could just be yourself. And you always was being yourself and all your chakras is open and all that shit was all aligned and stuff like that. And things of that nature, and then you start getting older, and you start getting to that 9 to 5. You start getting lost into the external world and shit like that. Oh, you gotta pay these bills. You gotta get this job. You gotta have these responsibilities and these obligations. I'm not even trying to say there's nothing wrong with that, but you get what I'm trying to say. You end up losing your inner child. You end up losing yourself into that when none of those things are that. None of those things are you and stuff like that. You still a spirit in the body. You know shape and form. So you always got to appeal to your natural natures and what naturally appealed to you. And that's when you start to discover and go back to the nostalgia of what you did as a kid and why did you do it? Because you naturally attracted towards those things because you naturally liked it and you didn't overthink it. You was more in that expressive, spontaneous type of energy and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You was way more free as a spirit. And that's all we trying to do for real. So from us having our own free will, we have the choice to be independent. We have the choice to, you know what I'm saying? We always have the choice, man, we always got the choice. The whole mechanism is based upon the first intent. It's always based upon the first intent. The first intent based upon what you're paying attention to, and that's what you're going to attract because you're paying attention to it. And it's always going to be based upon the first intent. So if you always in that lacking type of energy or that negative type of energy and that self-doubt type of energy and stuff like that, that's the only thing you're going to be attracting because that's all you're paying attention to. And then the more you try to be in that more graceful type of energy and that more providative, creative type of energy, the more that's actually going to attract back to you and stuff like that. Like, y'all be saying shit like the law of attraction and all that. The minute they start getting to that conversation. But regardless, right? The actual purpose of humankind and why you keep coming back into humanistic traits made simple. So we actually trying to become something beyond just the humanistic shape and form, the lesser shape and form that we in and stuff like that. So it's like being with God and like the angels and stuff like that. So you being in the heavens, and in the heavens is just the abode of God. God just represents all possibilities. So the more you try to make your own atmosphere and make your own internal heaven and make your own world and have your own essence and have your own substance, that's the thing that's going to be more everlasting. That's the thing that's going to be eternal even after you did, because you didn't get lost into the external world. You didn't get lost into the body, the flesh, and pleasing the flesh, and you didn't get lost into your mind either. You didn't get lost into a specific ego. You understand your divine masculine, divine feminine. You understand that you're just a part of the universe, and collectively, dreamwork make the teamwork. We have our own subjective point of view, and we make the objective point of view, aka we make the climate, we make the world what it is and stuff like that, right? So we able to act out these different mentalities when it comes to externalizing and also internalizing these things. So you're gonna have that guidance from the overall perspective based upon you following the sun and moon transitions and stuff like that, aka the sun, the heavenly body of the sun, aka you having your own star power, and you understanding your divine masculine, your own expression, your own solar plexus, your own individuality, and then also understanding the divine feminine, how you take care of that expression, how you take care of your imagination and have that more protected and more sacred and have that thing be more holy and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? These things you're supposed to actually give praise to and give a lot of grace to, and you're always going to make these different mistakes. All these different things are just mechanisms and transitions, and you have to understand not everything is always going to go your way because you still a part of the universe. And you know what I'm saying? Like, from us being part of the universe and stuff like that, it's a unified verse. So look at like different humans. Oh, we're all part of the different verses and stuff like that, and we all come together unified. So we're just different pieces, but all these different pieces make up the big ass puzzle piece of us being in existence and stuff like that. So you just your own entity. Don't get lost into a fucking deity in your lower natures and you deifying a whole bunch of shit and you get lost into idol worship, or you want motherfuckers to look at you like an icon and look at you like you supposed to be a role model and you supposed to be an idol and stuff like that, because it's going to lead way more into self-serving, and you start to understand how to keep on increasing that frequency of doing something beyond just yourself, and you can actually you actually going to be able to expand the space that you're in. Your individual space is just your soul. You're able to expand your capabilities. You're able to take your power back. You're able to have more willpower. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that's gonna be eternal. That's the only thing that's gonna be everlasting, even after you dead. After the physical is gone, after your mentality is gone, and then you're able to come back again because you was given more faith and credence to your capabilities, your power, your spirit, in a sense, your essence, your substance, and your individual way of how you like to do it. And you're able to come in a new mentality and transmute that into a new shape and form in a new body. And it's gonna be you coming back more angelic, or you coming back looking at things at a higher angle, or you coming back with your own atmosphere and stuff like that. And we may not know how that's gonna look like yet, but we in those different transitions, and we all trying to get there for real. So stop getting lost into flunked ass humans on God, some humanistic ass traits, and being nice and friendly and shit. See, and then look, and this the main reason my ass be, man, I be hating the word humble and stuff like that. No, it's not no you being humble. It's you living in moderation, or you being modest. You know what I'm saying? So from you living in moderation, you start to understand, oh yeah, some days it be my days, and it's gonna, I'm able to play out the different characteristics of what I like and what pleases me, and then sometimes it's not gonna be my day. Sometimes I'm gonna go through different characteristics of some shit I really don't dislike, and I gotta deal with all this bullshit today because of this, that, and the third, based upon my circumstances and responsibilities. Because you still part of the universe, and you just want peace and stuff like that. And then like some other days, someone else is going to get theirs. You know what I'm saying? Someone else is going to get their spotlight. Someone else is going to get their chance. And then that day, you ain't going to get your chance that day. You know, no, chill out. You know what I'm saying? Chill out. You know what I'm saying? Chill out. It wasn't your day today, and then you was able to come back better next time for the next day and all that type shit. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be in that bogged down type mentality. It's not to say you ain't gonna go through those different depressions, or you feeling sad, or you feeling condensed and stuff like that. The whole thing itself is a mechanism. In general, you can't get back to another high without going through another low, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole thing itself is just common sense. You need to go through the highs and the lows. In general, you have to go through, be on that high frequency, and then be on that low frequency of you being consistent. You have to go through that high vibration, that high emotion, that thrilling emotion, that euphoria, that ecstasy, and then them low emotions of you being depressed, that low vibration and stuff like that, of you feeling disdain, of you feeling a lack thereof, of you feeling that lack of motivation and stuff like that. And then, yeah, like certain things that matter to you, right? You're able to actually make those things more sentient, and make those things a part of what you got going on. And then some things that don't matter to you and stuff like that, you can just leave it here nor there and stuff like that. A lot of these things gonna end up coming and go anyway, just in general. So the more you're able to actually be in that equilibrium space, right, of you not getting lost into the high, and you ain't getting too lost into the low and stuff like that, you ain't getting too lost into your bias, that's when you actually able to obtain actual knowledge, and then you learn from your experiences, and then you actually learn how to be more disciplined and be a wise man. Being a wise man just means you was able to learn from what you know, because you can know a whole bunch of different shit, aka knowledge. You can know a whole bunch of different shit when it comes to your awareness, right? But you're not learning anything. So is you observing, and you know these different things, you're aware about it, but you're not learning from the circumstance. That's why that same thing keep happening to you, even though you're aware of certain shit. You know what I'm saying? You have to learn how to go through the different transitions. You need to learn how to let that motherfucker go. On God, that mentality, that person, that you know what I'm saying? The people, places, and things that you're around, your circumstance, you need to change the whole shit up.